Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Man, you have no idea how excited I am for this interview today. So I've been talking a lot about Think and Grow Rich, and I'm going to be having a conversation with my personal mentor, whose name is Sean G. Murphy, and we're going to be talking about persistence. And this is such an important idea because at the end of the day, when it comes to, achieving your dreams or a goal that you have, right, it doesn't matter what it is that you want. If you really want to, like, quote unquote make it in this world, like, you're gonna need the ability to be persistent, and there's no way around it. And so, I'm super lucky because I get to interview possibly one of the most persistent individuals that, I don't think there's many other people that are more persistent than this person that I'm bringing on here, and I'm really, really grateful for this moment. Good morning, Kamal. It's good to see you, bro. So let me get him. But yeah, while he's while I'm waiting for Sean to join, I want to just like talk about some things for a sec, right? When it comes to the idea of persistence, right? This is so huge, right? When I'm talking about Think and Grow Rich and every other principle out there when it comes to success, right? If you're not persistent in applying like anything, then you're simply not gonna make it. And so, for me, when I got started in the entrepreneurship world at 19, I remember, here we go, here's Sean. I remember, how hard it was to get started. So, with that being said, let me add. I'm not sure how to add. Oh, there we go. Hello.
Hey, big guy.
What's happening?
How are you?
Man, I am super stoked right now. This is such a cool topic that we're going to be talking about. And I can't wait to learn from you because honestly, you've done over 1,560 lives. You're the person that inspired me to get started on sharing my journey and being consistent with it. And so I think this topic is going to be absolutely electric. That's what I got to say.
I love it. I believe
Yeah.
so too.
Yes.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm just sharing it out real quick as we get started here.
Cool. While you're doing that, I want everyone to understand. There's this one thing I heard. I have to say to edify Sean. Right? They say that a lot of people wonder whether one man can actually like change the world. But I will say right now that this man that I'm talking to today absolutely changed my world, and that is the reason I'm here today, showing up. So that's why I gotta say thank you so much for that.
You are welcome. So today the conversation's about persistence.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it's great to be persistent. The
Mm-hmm.
consistency, the consistency of being persistent is even more so. You've done it. You did 100+ episodes and talking about Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. The
Mm-hmm.
thing about being persistent is sometimes you feel, hey, Eric, how are you? Sometimes you feel that you're repeating yourself. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's the key to being persistent. It's about doing the things. Wallace D. Waddle says what? What does Wallace D. Waddle says? It's not
It's
about doing certain things.
it's about doing things in a certain way.
And that's where persistence comes in. As long as we adjust, as long as we tweak, the challenge is too many times people want to be persistent with carte blanche changes. They want to go from this idea, Kelsey, how are you? We want to go from this idea of, well, I was doing this, now I'm going to do this. And they never stay in the game long enough, right? The thing that I love about the profession we're in, hey, Talita, the thing that I love about the profession we're in is that if you stay in long enough, persistent, you will win by default. Even if you're the worst, I know people who didn't sponsor people for 11 years. Sponsored one, 11 years. But now they make well over $1 million a year effortlessly because they stayed in the game.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts? What's your questions?
My first question, I do have a few list of questions, and in something I heard when it comes to persistence is, it really does start with having a burning desire. And how would you say for you, just having, like, even going back to the beginning, right? Definite major purpose plus a burning desire to achieve that purpose. How would you say like that has helped you stay so consistent, so like every single day showing up live for everyone?
Well, the key is that when you decide your purpose, it usually never shows up the same way. So the challenge is that every day, the last 1,560 plus days, I've woken up in the morning, done my meditation, and said, what am I going to talk about? I've said everything there is to say until I realized there's only a handful of things to say. And when you say those, start over, right? When you get to Z in the alphabet, where do you go? That's it. There's nothing else to do. No, you go back in, unless you want to learn the alphabet backwards, you go back and you start at the beginning. And here's the thing. When you start at the beginning, if you've ever read a book, you've read a book, right? You've read Napoleon Hill a couple of times, right? Think and Grow Rich now, and you've read a couple of different things. When you read it, I love watching you read it your third, your fifth, your sixth time, because you're like, oh, this wasn't in the book. They changed my book. They changed the pages. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what persistence does. If you're okay with learning a new way to learn a new way, then you can be persistent. The reason most people fail is because of distraction, because you mentioned it, their definite major purpose isn't in play. My definite major purpose is bigger than me, so therefore everything I do, I have to ask, is this in a direction? Does this keep me on my path? Versus, ooh, shiny object syndrome.
Got it. Wow. Yeah, I think that's really important. Because starting with the basics, right? Having the definite major purpose, that's where it all starts and is so critical. And I think, I was preparing for this live, I was rereading it, and some things started popping up even as I'm reading it 15 minutes before. And that showed up.
Why? If you've already read it a dozen times, why do you think something else popped up?
Because I was looking for it.
You were looking for it. And here's the thing: be in the persistent pursuit of excellence. And excellence is never attainable, but it's achievable. Follow me on this. Becoming persistent. You're becoming persistent. Somebody says to you, "Oh my God, I'm a huge personal development freak. And you say, well, I'm curious. Have you read Think and Grow Rich? Oh my God, my favorite book. Well, how many times have you read it? Once. It's like the best ever. You're like, you didn't even scratch the surface.
Yeah.
So excellence is achievable, but it's never achieved. And too many people stop with the first level of excellence because they're not persistent enough to say, is there more? Because as soon as you ask, is there more? You were reading the chapter this morning, you're like, oh my God, where was this like 20 times ago?
Yeah. So another thing that just popped up was that we talk about this a lot, right? Having the state of mind, that is by far the most important. And I want you to touch on this a little bit more, but also, like, I noticed throughout Think and Grow Rich, this has been popping up continuously throughout the book. And I noticed that he says that persistence is a state of mind, right? He says that persistence is a state of mind. And I want you to, because especially I'm curious, like how that, what that means to you, and how important having that state of mind is.
Well, so state of mind is either internal or external. And when the two meet and match, it becomes harmony. Napoleon Hill talks about what he learned from Carnegie was that the key, one of the 7 keys is to have people in a mastermind work in perfect harmony. Persistence just drives people nuts. Persistence makes people think, oh, I got to be persistent. I got to keep doing. And what they usually think, their mind goes to the negative. I got to keep making the phone calls, and I don't like making the phone calls. That's an external persistence in conflict with your internal persistence. I don't want to feel bad. Well, you are persistently in a state of mind that says, I don't want to feel bad. And when you switch the state of mind to say, my definite major purpose is to achieve an outcome, then me feeling bad is okay because I'm into something new. Because if I do something new, I might have a new result, which would give me a new feeling, which would make me have to think a new way. Now, all of a sudden, I'm persistent. And the challenge is they plant this new seed of opportunity, this new seed of possibility, and it doesn't grow and produce 75 tomatoes on day one. And they're like, I must not be persistent enough. So they go back to doing the wrong thing. So when external and internal are in alignment, Bob Proctor says, do the thing until you don't have to do the thing.
Yeah, that's true. I noticed with the live button, it becomes a lot easier to click. And then following that, right, still talking about state of mind, what about how does persistence help you really, really develop that state of mind known as faith and really believe in yourself even more? Because you mentioned it, like you do your lives so that you can remind yourself just like what you need to hear. And so I'd love for you to touch on that.
So when you start, here's the thing. When you start something new, you want to do it in service. So you go out and you go, I started my calls 4 years ago, coming up on 5 years ago. Get out of your effing way. And the F really meant the F that we all know the F means. I tone it down by saying fright or fear or frustration. It was really get the F out of your way. So I went with a mission to kind of prove wrong. And so I was persistent, and I wanted to crush fear and doubt. And I wanted to crush this idea of personal development, because personal development doesn't work. I know people are going to freak the F out on that. It doesn't work because 98% of the population who still study network marketing, who still study personal development, who still read Think and Grow Rich, fail. Let's not say, well, they kind of, they're not real. No, they fail. They fail flat out, fail. So what happens is when you do your calls, when your calls switch from wanting to prove wrong to wanting to take people on your journey, all of a sudden faith shows up. And when I show up to a call, you've been on some of my calls where it's like, I don't know what the hell to talk about, y'all. Somebody give me a topic, and somebody will throw out a word, and I can go for 2 hours. But my mind just wasn't there. So the challenge is when you want to have persistence, it's critical to understand you're going to need to find, in Campbell's hero's journey, you're going to need to find that mentor. The reason most people don't find the mentor is they keep doing the refusal of the call. I did 7 episodes and nobody showed up. I'm sorry. What? I did. You did 7. I've done 1,500 episodes and still people don't show up. It was 6:04 this morning and nobody was on the call. I'm like, did I turn it on right? I've done this for 1,500 times. Everybody freaking knows I do a call at 6 a.m. Where are they? And so literally this morning it was like, screw this, I'm done. F this, it's ridiculous. How come they're not waiting on me? Because I anticipated, because I associated my persistence of 1,560 episodes that people should be waiting for me. Nobody gives a rat's ass about me. They really don't. What they care about is the journey I'm taking them on, so they can go, that's I needed that today. I needed that. Not, oh, we needed to hear Sean today. Nobody says that. So when you start your persistence, when you decide to go be persistent, it is absolutely critical to realize you are stepping out on a limb all by your effing self. Unless, Jim Rohn's favorite word, until you find somebody like a Michael who's out there on the branch, just on the other tree, but he's out on his branch, and you two can finally see each other and go, holy shit, you out here too? Well, what the hell are you doing? I don't know, but I'm hanging on with every freaking ounce of courage I have. and then you can support each other. The challenge is when we try to be persistent. Courtney, when we try to be persistent, we wind up not using courage. And then we step back in fear. What's that phrase? Step forward in faith or back in fear. We step back in fear, and therefore we lose our streak. And the challenge with persistence is once you break the streak, you know this, Michael.
Yeah.
You got to start brick over.
Yeah.
I did 108 episodes. Yeah, but I missed a day. Well, you're back to one.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's right. And Manny, I just graduated, so, but that's so true because I've been doing the lives, and then it's like I pause for a bit, and it's like, okay, you're starting over. Like, don't act like I've been doing it. And so, two things that stuck out to me, right? You mentioned having a mentor, right? The importance, I think for me, this is also written in that chapter, right? The importance of associating yourself with people who are persistent being so important. And something that I learned from you, right? Just by being around you, you're so persistent that it's like, what'd you say? You're either gonna drag me through the mud, or I forget what the quote is, but like you're gonna become persistent simply by surrounding yourself with other individuals that have this trait as well, right?
Yeah, I will drag you across the finish line. Because if you're going to stay with me, you're going to get drugged. You may not. You ever get behind a car and you're hanging onto the bumper, and all of a sudden you can't keep up and you miss a step, and either you let go or you're going to get drugged. So make sure it's on a smooth, comfortable surface like snow, and you can hang on for a while. But a lot of people, great morning to you, Sienna. A lot of people drag people with their intent to serve them, but they drag them along broken glass by doing injected values. Why aren't you doing this? And you should be doing that. Did you make your calls? Did you do this? Did you do that? Now, some people need motivation. But the challenge is that you can make people feel so bad that there's not a snowball's chance in hell they'll ever become persistent in doing the daily actions.
Wow. Continuing on that, right? He mentions that it's almost like persistence is kind of like waking up out of a nightmare, right? At first, it's a real big struggle, and you just gotta keep going, and then, right, you wake up out of it. How would you relate that to just your world experience? Like, it's even for me, I will admit, it's tough to get that started, get it going, and then just one day at a time, like almost like you're an alcoholic.
So it takes 18 hours to fly to China, to fly to, where did I land? The top 3 airports. I landed in, not Hong Kong. I forget where I landed. Anyway, so here's the story. So I'll tell you about this persistent. I've been doing presentations at the time. I was asked to go speak in China to the 25th largest network marketing company in the world. And I was speaking to the 6-figure and above earners. You ever hear of the go-giver, Bob Berg? He was on the main stage with the general population. Him and I were on stage together. And then I went and spoke, because of my experience in network marketing, to the 6- and 7-figure income earners. There were 17 countries and about 180 people in the room. Back up 24 hours. I'm on the plane from Chicago to Shanghai, and I have a panic attack. I lost my persistency. There was no way. I thought, there's no way I can continue. My presentation, I just thought everything was a failure. There's no way I'm going to be translated. I had too much stuff on the slides, and I said, I suck at I'm terrible at this. The reason I share this with you is because I had done at the time over 1,000 live events. It's not like I did, and I've been translated into 40 languages already. The reason that I failed in my persistence of staying positive, of staying in focus, I love and I was in first class on a 13-hour flight. You could get little loopy on a first class flight if you don't pay attention. The reason I share this with you is that I wasn't persistent in my understanding of why I was going there. I didn't have my DMP in place for that presentation. And the reason I didn't have my DMP is because I thought I'm an American going to speak to the Chinese. What do I say? Cultural differences, this, that, or the other. I didn't realize there would be 17 countries in the room. I thought I was speaking to a Chinese delegate. And so therefore, I literally thought I wasn't good enough. Never done it before, not good enough. Never been translated like this, not good enough. Never stood on the stage in Tiansu, China, not good enough. So I literally, your persistence leaves your body, literally leaves your body. You can watch it like in Ghost, where your body just goes and you die and you whoo, and persistence leaves because your self-worth just went out the window. Mm-hmm. What will make your persistence stronger is to do what Michael sends me on a daily basis, is his messages of gratitude. When you start to believe in you and you do your messages of gratitude like he does consistently every day, 10 things he's grateful for. It sounds easy, but we've also heard Bob Proctor say, if it's easy to do, it's also easy
not to do.
So when you want persistence, you have to establish. James Clear talks about atomic habits. And you have to have, you hear the successful people say, what's most important? My morning routine. You can't F with my morning routine. Ed Mylott, you can't F with my morning routine. Dean Graziosi, you can't F with my morning routine. Tony Robbins, you can't F with my morning routine. When you have a routine and then you start to slip in a new item into it, it has to take hold, because this army of routine, of repetition, forces that part of you to say, get this shit done.
Yeah. Wow, I love it. What about like the person just getting started, even if it's, not what either of us are doing, right? Just getting started on your dreams. What would you recommend to that person to get started? Would it be to find someone that, to surround yourself with? What would you recommend?
Well, Courtney, I love you. Here's the challenge. When people want to go help, say, I need some help, they go help the other knuckleheads who are in the hole with them. Right? And maybe you can see out the hole, but you sure as hell ain't out the hole. The challenge is that the DIY method of success, the do-it-yourself model, has failed for centuries. I know that's going to create a lot of, and people are like, who's that asshole you had on your call that you're personal development, and he's saying it sucks and everybody fails at it. Look at the statistics. 98% of the population right now feels broke. Mm-hmm. They feel isolated. They feel insulated. They feel less than. 98%. Well, that's not me. Well, you lie about other shit too. My point is that when you decide how do you find your goal, you can ask people what they believe you do well, and you'll be surprised. If you want to go use the DIY method, don't ask them for help unless they're probably not in your circle of five. If you're going to go ask the circle of five, right, the people who are your averages, you're here in the middle, and somebody's going to get screwed with the answer. I'm just telling you. So what do? You have to step outside. You've got to ask what we've taught is called a QLQ, a quantum linguistic question. Einstein said the problems that are made with the mind of man can't be solved with the same mind that created them. So how do we do this? We have to ask ourselves, what is it that who do I become? And this is when you get into the 1% population. 1%. You can be a 1%er right now today. Michael's a 1%er, and I love him for it because he thinks. Maybe not always, but he thinks. I don't always think because we run in a habitual life. 90% of our day is run habitually. The other 8% is run when somebody asks us to do something that's outside our habitual actions, but we know the answer. And then when we're in that's why we're not good company for ourselves. It's why we have to scroll the shit out of Facebook and TikTok and everything else, because we're not good company. Oh my God, my phone is dead. What am I going to do? Oh my God. What?
Oh. I'm going to deal with my own thoughts.
Yeah, I got to think. Oh my God, I have to think. But I told everybody I was going to be a millionaire. You get on calls and you go, hey, billionaires, stop it. Stop it. So what do you do? How do you become persistent? you have to start with some routines. You've got to put some things in place that serve you and move you and elevate you. A QLQ is one of those things. Who do I become if I get up at 5 a.m.? What's the answer to that? Who do I become? 5 a.m.? Are you freaking nuts? I'm not. I just went to bed at 4 a.m. That wasn't my question. Do you see how easily you got distracted? Who do you become when you get up at 5 a.m.? My daddy said, I don't care what time you go to bed as long as you're up at 5. We got work to do, baby. And if you don't know how to sleep on 2 hours for a couple of nights, then I would encourage you to become more persistent with understanding your life is waiting on you.
I love it. Hey, that's everything I have. Do you have anything else?
Wait, that's like asking an alcoholic, you want a drink? Yeah, sure. Let me at him. So here's the thing. Michael, I want to just give you huge attaboys, huge kudos. You have come so far from day one that I got to meet you. And I hope people understand that what seems shy, what seems a little, I want to make sure that I'm doing all the right things, is his desire to serve you, the listener, the you that's listening to this right now. Michael knows he can call me. We can have this conversation. He wants to make sure I'm not going to run off on the rails like I do sometimes in my morning calls and just absolutely beat the crap out of people, because I know there's so much more in them. So thank you for keeping me on track, Michael. Thank you for being this amazing student, this amazing teacher, and this amazing mentor, not only to me, but to others. And I just want you to know that you deserve tremendous attaboys, tremendous kudos, and my life wouldn't be the same without you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And as well, thank you for introducing me to the greatest business of all, the business of building people. I love it. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this live episode. I'm going to be saving it on my Instagram, so tune in there. And with that being said, Sean, I hope you have a great rest of your day. This was absolutely awesome.
Love it. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Have an amazing day. And for all of you listening, drop a heart, send a message. There's Rhonda Bird Parker in the house. If you got a heartbeat, you got a purpose. Check her out. She's an amazing soul. You'll watch her on her building her home journey. Talk about persistent. She's talked about this, talked about it, and it came to a realization. So I love you, Rhonda. Michael, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to Courtney Carr again. I love you. I'm so excited to see you. All right. I'm just going to talk.
All right.
I'm just going to watch the names come up. Sienna, I love you, Sienna. All right, everybody. Love you tons. Thanks, Michael.
Bye.